I know that of recent, we have seen incidences of our girls, our mothers, our women who have been murdered in cold blood. And let me say this, that the DCI and all the investigative authorities in the Republic of Kenya must stand up to these criminals, and we must deal decisively and firmly. And I want to ask us as a society to be careful with strangers, to be careful with people who lure our girls, our women into situations that compromise their security. But we must be on the lookout, all of us, as a nation.
A very good morning to you. Welcome back. Of course, that is President Ruto addressing a very important conversation that needs to be had in every part of the country, not just media, of course, online as well. We've been seeing an outcry when it comes to activists talking about how important it is to address this, and I'm glad that he has finally spoken about it. Of course, I'm talking about femicide, these cold blood murders that we've been seeing. The numbers actually quite alarming. 97, if we're being precise, in the last 3 months. On the Star, earlier on, we talked about how it actually had some of the photos of some of these women who had been murdered in the past few months. May their souls rest in peace. And for that conversation, we will be talking about it in detail right here with me. I have a counselist, of course, who is going to be giving us an insight on how it affects people's mental health. We also have an activist, so let me get you their details right now as we get more of that. That is Judith Ngerichi. Good morning to you, Judith. Judith is wellness advocate and champion for women and vulnerable children rights, as well as Richard Ziwa, Zimbalist, a counselor. And on your screens, remember, we'll be bringing to you the cover page on the Star that we highlighted earlier on. But yes, apart from these two able panelists, we also have young people. We have a young panel in studio. My co-anchor, my co-host Stan will be navigating that conversation. But for now, I'm going to start off with you. And of course, I'd like to get more details about what really femicide is and how exactly it differs from other forms of gender-based violence, from other forms of violence in specific. So we'll start off with you.
Thank you very much. Femicide is the intentional killing of women and girls because of their gender. And this, for lack of a better word, is becoming a national pandemic.
Absolutely.
We need to address it. We need to talk about it. We need to empower our society to understand that women are to be nurtured, to be protected. We were created to be, we're like flowers, basically. So we need to be protected, and the government needs to put in place stringent measures to be able to address these matters. Yes.
And when it comes to some of the root causes of femicide, what are they? We've seen some statistics that state, actually in the Star, 75% of these murders are, the perpetrators are actually family members. There could be a boyfriend, there could be a father, there could be a husband, a partner. So what do you have to say about that?
First of all, I believe we have gotten to a place where the society is becoming so intolerable, and there's a lot of lack of emotional awareness, emotional balance, where people are not able to tolerate people's reaction and people's different views. Now, you find in a situation where a young girl is murdered by their father or sibling because of how they are articulating themselves, because of how they present themselves. Now, most of the time we live in a space where now people do not know how to handle their emotions.
Right.
They do not know how to express themselves appropriately. So in the process of that, they start reacting in a manner that they exude aggression, as opposed to just having a proper conversation. And by the time people are realizing something has already happened, and by the time you're hitting someone, you start thinking, oh, I didn't realize I was upset. I didn't know what I was doing. So it is just the emotional imbalance where we are not able to articulate our feelings in the appropriate manner.
Okay, I'll take this conversation to you, Richard. Let's talk about the numbers. So this is data by Africa Uncensored, and leading counties of femicide in the country are Nairobi, Kiambu, and Nakuru. Now, this is what the cases have been from 2016 to 2023, I beg your pardon. 2016, 20 cases. 2017, 57 cases, 2018, 95 cases, 2018, 79, 2020, 60, 2021, 70, 2022, 46, 2023, 75, and this year, the year has not come to an end, and in the last 3 months alone, we've seen 97. When it comes to how emotional intelligence, what emotional intelligence is and how we need to process things, how we need to react to things, what do you think is the difference this year specifically, and why are we seeing that the cases are obviously on the rise?
Thank you, my friend. I think it's a painful reality that we all have to navigate.
Yes.
We have a culture of prejudice around women.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only this year. I thank the star that have highlighted and put a face to every loss of a life of a woman. And it's ridiculous to say that every time we go about with a life.
Yes.
Readily would I tell a man, please call me when you get home. But to women, we always say, please call me back when you get home. Let me know when you're safe.
Yeah.
So with all this data, and I think it's a smallest portion of the actual data that is available out there. Yeah. There's quite a significant number of cases that are not registered because these murders are committed by people who are in relationship with us, family members, spouses, and the numbers being that huge, it should be a place of not just emotional intelligence. The loss of values as a nation, as a community, because we have this prejudice against women across board, whether it's in public transport, whether it's a home in a household, whether you're driving on the roadside. Someone would tell another woman in your face, if I can't have you, no one else will have you, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
And everyone will be quiet about it like it's normal. I think the only way we can reduce those numbers is to go back and find out if dead bodies are streaming downstream, it's not just a matter of picking them out of the water. Let's go upstream and navigate. Why is it that these dead bodies are entering the water?
Yeah,
let's go back and navigate our cultural prejudices towards women as a whole. Why is it that we are negatively scripted to kill women and little children? A man kills his wife, then kills the little girl on the pretext that I don't want her to suffer. Also, like, readily would you find a woman do that?
Yeah.
We need to re-investigate ourselves. It's not just about emotional maturity and having emotional empathy. We need to investigate our values as a nation, as a community, because these numbers will keep on rising every singular time if we don't go back to check that. It's also one thing to blame women why they're being killed.
Yeah.
We are the perpetrators, the men. The men in our families, in our communities, are the ones who are inflicting these deaths to the women. How about men trying to go backwards and say, we need to correct this. There's something awfully wrong about it.
All right. Stan, of course, we also have a very able panel in studio of young people. Maybe we could also engage them.
Oh, yes. And even the viewers watching us this particular morning, we're asking you because we really, really want to know your feedback on this. And the question of the day for you is, what do you think the government should do to curb the mysterious deaths of women in the country? What should the government do to curb this? This isn't first time we're having this. In January, thousands of people who marched in different parts of the country. And the clarion call was, ladies and gentlemen, to be a national disaster. And the president to actually have it as that. I'll start with, you can pass the mic. So what you'll do is introduce yourself and tell us, do you agree on the same? Should this now be a national disaster? Should we be seeing the president calling it out as a national disaster? Also, what do you think is the root cause of where we are at the moment?
Okay. My name is Sylvia Gatti. I'm a corporate communication consultant. And to be honest, First and foremost, I want to send my heartfelt condolence to the families, friends who have lost the loved ones through this endemic thing that we've been seeing in our country. And first and foremost, I want to say that this is a very alarming thing. From the statistics that we're seeing, 97 within 3 months, 97 women being killed within 3 months is such alarming. And as we've seen the leaders, starting with our president, calling out this issue is such a good thing to having known that this is something that is growing in our society.
Right.
And the root cause of this femicide thing is that we can say, as she has said, the emotional tolerance. People are not ready to keep, to tolerate each other. And through that, we keep seeing that the only way that they can do this is killing the women, which is not a good thing at all.
All right. Matthew, I want you to have the mic. As a gentleman, he says, what do you think the role of a gentleman is, even as you also introduce yourself? What is the role of a man in this conversation?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stanley, and thank you for having us this morning. I'm Matthew K. Samuel, the youth leader, chairperson, and at the same time an entrepreneur. So, first and foremost, I like to condole with the families that have lost their beloved ones, their mothers, their sisters, their beloved ones. Actually, it is very, very much painful at this time. So, when we are talking about femicide crisis, sir, what we should consider is it's not only about crisis or about criminal offenses, but we are going deep down to realize that it is all about moral values problems. It's all about social instability, even in our society currently. This is a crisis that each and every person needs to address. And I'll agree with my senior mentor, Mr. Richard here, that we men, we should be the people in the forefront to make sure that we advocate for this, because we according to the statistics, if 97 women can be killed in 3 months, so if we try to assume, and these are the only data that have been captured, but there are a lot of the things that are going on, a lot that have been killed that have not been captured. So if we assume that each and every 3 months we'll be losing 97 women, so women, shall we live on this earth alone? So this is the question that we need to ask ourselves. So when you're talking about this, it is an initiative that is needed to be taken by each and every person, each and every entity, from the government to the community to into the households. Yeah, and I can just agree with the psychologist there that this thing revolves around the bitterness. The bitterness, if it's in relationships, if the bitterness is a bit higher. We have been seeing these things. I have invested in someone, then all of a sudden this person has left me. At the same time, we have been seeing issues about love going sour. All these things are things that we need to address boldly. Okay. We don't need to hide anything or need to shield about anything. We need to address it boldly.
Thank you. So also, as you make your introduction, what does that say in what he talks about as it revolves around the relationships that we have? What does that say in our current generation type of relationships?
Okay. My name is Joy Wanjiru. I am a media and PR practitioner. So comms is my thing. To your question and what he said, a broken society, people who react from love going sour, or whatever they want to call it. I feel like we are in a place where either our mental health is in terrible state such that we are not able to, for example, the guys are not able to take a no, right? It goes back to, again, like he said, values. How have I been brought up? What are the value systems that I believe in, right? Self-esteem. Can I be able to handle a no coming from my girlfriend or my wife? Yeah, and let it remain at that without necessarily feeling the need to actually take their lives. So I think it boils down to values.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you agree on the same, what they're talking about, even also on a question of the day? What should the government be doing here?
Thank you for this opportunity, and I agree with what she's saying, because I feel like most people get into relationships when they've not even worked on themselves, when they've not invested on themselves. That happens, you're not ready to take no for an answer, as she has said. When you're told, like, no, it ends here, we can't, you feel like if you can't have them, no one else can have them. I'll say, as Mr. Richard has said, that you get into a relationship, your everything, your happiness relies on the partner. To a moment when this person is leaving, or they've told you that they're leaving, you can't handle. And I feel like it's not really a government issue. I feel like, okay, it is, but I feel like most of us, like all of us as a nation, should work on ourselves, should work towards it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. As a student leader, even as you also introduce yourself further, January, there's thousands of people in different parts of the country. And I remember nominated Member of Parliament, Sabina Shagi, saying, we shouldn't be seeing these street marches in the streets, but they should be happening in colleges, universities. But then she also talked about how we need to have forums for such kind of conversations. That was in January. We are some days to the end of the year. So many months so far. Are we seeing, have we had some of these forums? And as a student leader, you are the pioneer of making sure these forums happen. What should be discussed in such forums?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here, guys. My name is Elijah, proponent of youth leadership and also a student leader in West Pokot County.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I want to confirm that femicide has become rampant in this society of Kenya. The only thing that now I want to advise the Kenyans, that we have to have an honest discussions about the femicide. It has become now a rampant and shocking this disease called femicide. So, as a student leader, first I want to condole with the comrades who died in Nakuru, Mount Kenya. I want to tell them, rest in peace. So, for instance, femicide has happened in so many regions: Mombasa, Machakos University, and even the Mount Kenya that I've mentioned right now.
Right.
So we have one problem that we need to handle: the relationship issues. We need to have forums like mental checkup and the mentorships to our ladies. Yes.
All right. The same, what he's talking about, the forums, and just to pick up his words, particularly for the ladies, but then gentlemen should also be in these forums. How should these forums be conducted? What should be discussed really by the young people in universities?
Thank you so much. My name is Celine. I'm a counseling psychologist. First of all, I'd like to send my condolences to all those that have been affected and to the families of the victims. I cannot begin to imagine the kind of trauma they are going through right now. So I feel like in these forums, things like what my colleagues have said, things about relationships, love, these things should be discussed in every forum. And also, I feel like societal norms have wamechangia. Allow me to speak in Swahili. Societal norms wamechangia kwa hizi vitu za femicide, because you'll find that, for example, a married woman will go back home and tell their parents, my husband is doing this to me, or my in-laws are doing this to me. And then the parents will be like, oh, ndoa ni kuvumilia, oh, what will we tell people when you get out of that marriage? So you'll find that this woman will go back to the same abusive marriage, and they end up getting killed Reason being, they don't want to face shame. They don't want their parents to face shame.
Okay.
So I feel like these things should be discussed even in the village levels, whereby everyone should be talked to, so that tusiseme ati kutakuwa na shame about watoto wetu kurudi nyumbani because their marriage have not worked. So I feel like as much as we are also discussing these things in colleges and these things with young people, let's talk also to our older folks so that they can also support these young women who are getting into marriages and young women who are getting into relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Omari, would you agree that even for the older generation, they fail to counsel now the younger generation on how to handle, as they're saying, even handle a no for, let's say, gentlemen, for ladies, how to handle such situations? Will you agree that the older generation failed to a certain point?
Okay, my name is Irene Omari, Programs Officer at Vine Africa and a student at Multimedia University of Kenya. I'd like to first say that femicide is an impunity and shouldn't be tolerated in our society. So, as my colleague said earlier, that the relationships are more of a business. Okay, I'd like to ask our viewers this. If you encounter a loss in your business, do you kill yourself or do you stop the business? Or rather, you first do a recollection and come up with better ideas on how to handle your situation. So, when people encounter challenges in a relationship, killing someone is not a solution. Instead, I think what should be discussed is how to develop some emotional intelligence, how to handle some situations. If you encounter a scenario where your partner does this or you are in what and what situation, yeah, how you could handle that rather than killing someone or engaging in such. And also, I think the government plays a key role in protecting our girls.
Okay.
We've seen cases where the perpetrators of these acts, they don't get convicted, rather they go back to the society,
Right.
and the circle continues.
And that point that you've raised is a very interesting one that we'll be back to talk about it largely, the whole judicial system. Has it failed us? Where are we at on that beat? The question of the day that you're asking you is, what do you think the government should do to curb the mysterious deaths of women in Kenya? What do you think the government should do to curb the mysterious deaths of women in Kenya? We're taking a very short break. So, anza kuweka credit sahi. 22047 is our SMS number. WhatsApp 0793267279. Make sure that you interact with us. On Facebook, there's some very controversial feedback here, but then very, very important. When you get back, we'll be sampling this, what you are saying. Don't go too far.
Vile unavyojua watoto wengi sana hawana namna. Mimi ningependelea watoto wasome.
I mean, to stress on education. At the same time, let us actually do any kind of sport that we are doing. Sport speaks the best language to everybody.
Tunataka tutafute talents. Zile raw talents kutoka kule nyumbani mashinani mahali tuko leo.
Hizi mbio za Chepsaita, like all other sports, zinaleta watu pamoja.
We want
use this event to uplift the lives of the community.
Anafurahia hii mchezo sana. Hata sikaange naambianga watu tuende Jepsaita.
Wanafunzi wakimbie ili wakuze talanta ya mbio ama kuhimiza tena elimu.
This is the place to be. Hapa ndipo mahali wanastahili kuwa tarehe 7. Wale watoto walikimbia last year, wamekimbia mpaka wamefuka mipaka zetu za Kenya.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
Right, welcome back. It is 39 minutes past the top of the hour. You're watching Morning Cafe. Today, we're steering away, actually not really steering away, but then diffusing the whole conversation that we have on relationships, but then focusing on a very, very pertinent conversation. It is a conversation that started early this year, and femicide. And the clarion call was declare femicide a national disaster. We're really yet to see that, so that push continues, and I was interacting with the young people on this side. You can pass the mic. Kindly tell us your name and even for question of the day, because of the whole conversation about opulence. And early in the year, it was the same conversation that a section of men saying, well, this is the issue of opulence and looking for money and such like. As a young person, what do you think about this conversation? Should we be talk about this?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Sharon Cheruiyot. I'm the chairperson, Kenya Red Cross Puya chapter. And about femicide, femicide is a pressing issue now. It's a very rampant cases that is occurring now at the countrywide, yeah. So I think this is a very good topic or something to talk about. I think, according to me, I think that the relationships are the most things that inachangia sana to femicides. For example, when you see, we have many factors that contribute to femicides. We have like the poverty and you find women are depending on maybe male gender for maybe financial stability.
And maybe Sharon, and sorry to cut you short, a comment here by Mutemi Adams, and I say, advice girl child that multiple relationships is a risky business that can cost one life. That meeting strangers at the hidden location alone is signing death warrant. What do you think about even having such kind of comments and ideas?
Yes, according to that question, let me answer it. According to young people, especially campus or college students, most ladies are in many relationships at one time. So you find somebody is dating, maybe has a boyfriend, a real boyfriend, maybe in campus or college. Then this person is dating the wababas. So when you date the wababas, maybe for financial purpose, and then the young boyfriend finds out about it. I think maybe it can trigger his anger and maybe he can come and kills you. That brings about the femicide.
All right. Sylvia Kopo Kandangu, she's itching to reply, but then, I mean, Shiksha,
yes.
Even as they throw back to the councillors, this is what the young people are talking about. I don't know from the councillors' side of view, the relationships and how they are changing.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we'll also talk to the councillor, Richard. So, there are red flags in a relationship, right? And they're very easy to read sometimes, especially when you talk about temperament, when you talk about someone who's aggressive, when you're talking about someone who has maybe, you know, hit you before in a relationship and has been violent with you in some way or the other. So what are some of these red flags when you're in a relationship that really should indicate that you need to either get help, you either need to walk out, or you need to get some sort of advice from parents or some sort of intervention so as to avoid the next level, which sometimes can be death?
So, thank you, my friend. I'm sorry, I would digress so that I can pick a thought from what she said.
Absolutely.
One, there's something absolutely wrong when men think that women are disposable in a relationship.
Yes.
They deserve a death warrant simply because they have not clicked with you. In the quest for you to win this young lady and she feels this is not working out, I can be able to date
someone else.
Date so and so. She has a right to do that. She has a right to find out what fits within her interests.
It does not justify murder.
It does not justify murder. And I think as much as we try to ignore it,
yes,
women we would call them and find out, have you got home safe?
Yes.
I think we need to call men to find out, are you a misogynist? Have you harassed some woman on your way to work and back home? Are the women in your circle of influence safe around you? Because we are the ones who are projecting these heinous crimes on these young ladies,
yes,
and these women and these children. I think when you are in any relationship and a man strikes you, please.
That's a red flag.
That's a huge red flag. Take off. Don't apologize about why you're taking off. Just run for dear life,
yes,
period.
Yes.
Because the best way to predict a future behavior pattern of anyone you're in a relationship with is the present circumstances you're exposed to. Quite unlikely that men change ahead of time. So I'll tell women, marry as close to that which you would ideally want without trying to change it. If beating you, battering you, kicking you, using physical abuse is some of the things we're seeing right now, men readily change when they're married.
Yes.
Readily change. Women change, but men, they readily change. So I tell them,
so these are patterns, behavioral
exactly.
patterns.
So marry as close to that which you ideally want without trying to change it if you're in that relationship. So if you don't like a man raising his hand on you,
yes,
as soon as you see it, walk out.
Thanks, Rich.
If you see a man that is financially abusive earlier on in your relationship, quite unlikely that that man would change. Also normalize the need to seek for counseling and therapy, because that's a part that we don't encourage people, especially if you're getting your emotions involved. Often when you're trapped up in a relationship, readily do you give an opportunity to people to think outside the relationship who are not involved emotionally in that relationship. So if you subject yourself to a place of accountability with a professional counselor, they'll be able to navigate a couple of things that you should be able to give thought to. Because when you're involved kissing and being romantic with this man and all this, there are certain things which you will not be able to see.
Absolutely.
But someone outside that relationship is able to say and say, hey, girl,
I think it's not right.
That doesn't smell right.
Judith, you know, 90% of these femicide cases, according to statistics, have been thoroughly investigated, but they are still pending. The verdict is still pending in the sense, you know, we don't know what the perpetrators are going to go through. We're still waiting for justice to be served. And what role does the legal system have in either preventing or encouraging or enabling femicide? Because sometimes I really do feel that if there are stricter measures in place, for example, you know, death immediately for somebody who has committed murder, I feel like this will stop somebody from taking that step. So I feel like the legal system has to come into play. So as an activist, what are some of these things that you would really just vouch for, in the sense you would want the legal system to come into play and take these stricter measures?
Thank you very much. In fact, just before I respond to that, according to a report from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and UN Women, current and former intimate partners are the most likely perpetrators of femicide, accounting for an average of 55% of all intimate partners and family-related killings. Now,
here in Kenya, actually, 75%.
Yes.
That's, I'm guessing it's just as a general, as a whole. But here in Kenya, statistics have said 75% of the deaths that have happened is happened by somebody who actually is a loved one.
Absolutely. And that tells you something, because when these things are happening, most women who've actually died, they have died in the hands of their partners, people they trusted, people they loved, people they cared for. And our legal system and our justice system is not doing us any justice, for lack of a better word, because I have tried to, you know, take up a lot of cases for women who've been abused.
Okay.
And the thing is, when you take them to this, when you go and report to police stations, who are the people that you're finding in police stations? They are men. The first thing they ask, and this is a question, this is something that it triggers me all the time, is ulifanya nini? What does someone have to do for them to be beaten, for them to be abused, for them to be molested, for them to be killed? No one deserves to die because of whatever choices they have made, sexual or otherwise. Because I've had someone say that because someone has extramarital affairs or because someone has extra partners. Let me give an example. That gentleman that has been trending from Equatorial Guinea, if that was a woman, what conversations would we be having? So we are tolerating a lot of nonsense and a lot of hypocrisy in this country, where even as you take these things to court, who are the people that are in charge? 90% of the ruling will be coming from male folk. And now these rulings, most often than not, they come from a place of emotion. Because when you look at the facts, you will find an investigation just was bungled. Why? Or there was not sufficient evidence, or you know, something disappeared, evidence could not be found, or we could not get a medical report.
There's loopholes everywhere.
Let me tell you, if we took these things as serious as we take the political processes, I can tell you no woman would be dying. And not just dying, but no woman would be dying in vain, because there is no reason for you to be killed because you said no, because you decided you no longer want something. You are allowed to change your mind. Because if men can decide today, I am no longer dating Judy, I want to find another woman tomorrow. People, in fact, society will even encourage. If a man loses a wife today, next week, that man will have another woman in the house. If a woman does that, they will be chased away from their home, they will be emotionally abused, they will be financially abused. It is a whole cycle where the society is encouraging, it's tolerating these things.
Double standards.
It's the biggest hypocrisy that we need to address, we need to fight, we need to keep, in fact, I hope we keep doing these mandamanos and actually for femicides, because people don't need to lose their lives. It is very unfair.
And I feel like mindset is very important, because we need to change these mindsets, and this comes from cultural practices and of course like the grassroots, where Richard, you had mentioned this as well. It boils down to like generations from generations.
Shift is critical.
Absolutely.
The way we think.
You know, you mentioned the Equatorial Guinea story, and I observed something on social media which really made my fingers like shake a bit, because I was looking at the comments and they were like glorifying the man. They were saying that, this man is a champion, and things like that were being said on social media. And exactly what you said, if this was a woman, the things that would have been said against this woman, that's what I'm saying, double standards are so evident, and we're seeing them in front of our faces, but there's nothing that we can do to shift them unless, of course, action is taken and we can show that the legal system will come into play. Even if our partners, you know, commit such heinous crimes, it's the legal system that will come into play and will protect you, and justice will be served. So, you know, justice delayed is better than justice not being served at all. But then the delay is what causes these rates, the alarming rates, to actually keep going higher and higher daily. Yes, Stan?
Yeah, but then the fact that you talk about social media, I'd really love to engage with the young people on the impact of social media, what we really see, what we, the kind of content that we have, and particularly music as well. So let's start with you on this, as someone from the communications docket. I remember back in January, people were, the kind of music that we have, and our local kind of music, and what it impacts, what people listen to. How does that really affect this conversation?
Okay, what I can say about that is we live in a generation where people are normalizing the emotional, not emotional, immoral, or rather moral erosion, or something like that. So the kind of content we see, or rather we interact with on our different social media platforms, including the type of music we listen to, the type of clips that we see on TikTok. People right now are really normalizing the thing of, I've seen this issue of unagongewa na si mayai. Like people are normalizing things like cheating on your partner. It's people are now seeing like it's okay, glorifying the fact that you can have multiple partners. And it's such a bad thing because you can see where it's leading. You know, that there are type of people who would never wish to hear that their partner are dating like someone else other than them. And when they get to such kind of point where you've just noticed that your partner is dating someone else, some people are not emotionally intelligent, and they'll get themselves in situations where they kill their partners on the same. Having my fellow colleague here mentioned about the issue of women being materialistic. Okay, you know, I'm trying to think from this perspective of the people who you've dated for years, 5 years. You want to tell me that I'm materialistic? I'm still there with you because of your property or something. You know, it all delves down, or rather, it really runs down to the person's personality, the kind of person you're choosing to be your partner. Have you known them? The kind of let's say, the way they behave when they're angry. You should tell from that. When someone tells you that Nita could slap, you should take that as a red flag. You're sitting there thinking, the next time he'll just pick a knife and he will stab you. Right. So you have to be very careful with the kind of people you're choosing to date as well.
Matthew, help us understand, as a man, what kind of conversations do men have when they're just men alone about women?
Most probably when I engage my fellow men, much more we are talking on how we can be a better picture or better mentors even to our children. Being better mentors to our children is just making sure that we protect what we love, and whatever we love is now this mother of these children. And I will agree with whatever she has said. We have been seeing even not only even, in fact I will say this, the enemy of a woman is a woman. And this is what has been happening. Those people that have been glorifying everything, these things that have been going on negatively, are the woman. How many times in a matatu whereby a woman is being insulted and all women are just sitting and watching, even on the road or anywhere that you're passing? And only men, I have seen an instance where just now men will need now to stand up and say, no, this and this and this is what needs to be happening. So when we are trying to focus much on the entire thing, we still have to make sure that the eroding of the morals and all these things are being stretched down even to our fellow women, to make sure that this is a collective thing.
And on the same train of thought, I want to get Elijah's
and just to add on what Mentor Richard said earlier, when we are talking about the government entities on this matter, we have been seeing cases. Even I can just try to mention where is Jumaisi till now as we are talking, and the cases that are behind him. If it is true and all those things that happened, allegation are true, where is he? And he escaped in the hands of the police people. So let us not be fooled as Kenyans to be taken for granted on things that are going on. The same energy that members of parliament had when they were impeaching Rigathi Gachagua and doing all those things, finance bill and all those things, they should shift the same energy to make sure that they put into this matter. Right. The women representatives that have been trying to pioneer all these things now are silent, and even others will not talk even till this matter ends. And all these things we want to say, as Tabitha was saying there, it is all about hypocrisy. We want to show that we are concerned, but in real sense, we are not concerned with everything that is going on.
Thank you, Matthew. Elijah, the same question really, just understanding what men talk about, and now for you, would you as a man, or rather would men generally want to tell off the other man and say, you know, what you're telling your girlfriend, your wife, is not correct. Do men do this?
Okay. First of all, men, we should acknowledge that we have the responsibilities to protect lead our ladies. This one comes where men are very jealous, by the way. They are very jealous. Why am I saying this? Because if you find a lady looking for many relationships, just because of money, maybe at the background they don't have money, you see. So a man must have had somewhere that her girlfriend is dating with another one. So that is why he end up killed the girl. So men, we have to acknowledge that we have the responsibility to protect the ladies.
All right. Sharon, you're agreeing to what Matthew in some bits was talking about. And I'd love now to get on the sense of, now for the ladies' perspective. When ladies have such conversations, because I think someone was talking about if, Rosie Sylvie talk about if the first time he says, I'll slap you, then just don't take it lightly. As ladies, even when you have such conversations, what happens? What do you tell each other?
I think I'll first start with addressing the whole because is my problem, I think. Because I did this needs to happen to me. It shouldn't even have to be a conversation that we are having to begin with. Why? Because, again, I'm also using because, but then there doesn't need to be a reason for someone to lose their life. Yeah. Different, even men, they cheat properly. They cheat properly. The same man who has probably killed a lady because they found, if you investigate, you'll probably find out they had
Multiple
2-3 side
partners.
chicks, right?
True.
But again, as Shiksha was saying, that most of these conversations are only pegged to the woman. Yeah, the woman cheated. You'll even ask the men here. It is worse for them. If you cheat, it's hard for them to forgive you. If they cheat, it is okay. It is kawaida. They even say it's a man's, it's just manly, too.
Men are polygamous.
Men are polygamous, right? This is the conversations we're actually having. So my point of view would be we shouldn't even have to have a reason why someone needs to be killed. Right? We need to look at ourselves, even forget about the government. From an individualistic perspective, as a person, what is my view on this? How am I contributing to the entire conversation? Because fine, the government will come in, they're going to help us, but the only thing they'll be doing is putting more people in prison. Yeah, we are not really fixing the problem. The problem is there are people who still think it is okay to put their hand on a lady. It is still okay to pick a knife. Why? Because it's justified. Yeah, we need to figure out, with the help of counselors in the room, with the help of different people who are able to guide these conversations, how do we deal with the root problem? Yeah, before we even get to fine, let's really jail these people. Let's take action on the people who have done this. But how do we prevent it from this thing from actually happening in the future?
Right. Robbie, you're a teacher, so I think you can teach us on this one. How can we, because yes, we have established this is the root problem, but then how can we actually address it in different forums in the country? How do we address it, and not just lightly, in a very big kind of a stage?
Personally, I feel like there've been so much blame towards.
Can you have it?
There've been so much. Ladies have been blamed so much. I agree with Joy here. If today I'm in a relationship, then I cheat, it will be focused on me, like, why did you cheat? But if the same man goes out and cheat, It will be like it's no big issue. It's manly. Men are polygamous in nature. Like, why are we blaming ladies? Why should you kill ladies? Then you end up blaming the same ladies that you've killed. Like, when you look at this issue, femicide issue, who are killing these ladies? It's men. Then they end up blaming men. And I feel like we've been talking about it over and over, that we should invest on ourselves first before you go into a relationship. You should make sure your happiness relies on you, not someone else, before you move on into other things. And as for the government, I feel like there is hypocrisy. Yeah, we are saying femicide issues, the rates are going high, the ladies are being killed and all, but what are you doing about it? I agree with Judith. When you go to the police station, for example, back in the village, those women who are being beaten up by their husbands, when they go to report the same cases to the police station, what do you find? You find men. And they ask you, what did you do? You should do this to your husband. This is what you're supposed to do. And at the same time, this is something that is happening already. A man is beating you up. And I feel like it should be addressed seriously. The same process, the same speed that the government used to impeach Gachagua, I feel like the same speed should be used to deal with this femicide matter. Because however much you're saying, oh, the rates are getting high, what are you doing about it? The law courts, the judges. When you go to the law, the judges most of them are men. And to self-awareness, to the communities back then, back at home, in the villages, I feel like men should be talked down. Social norms, most of men have grown. They know that it's okay to beat their wives. It's okay if your wife tells you this. No, sikubali kuambiwa hivyo. Mi siwezi ambiwa hivyo.
Right. Let me throw it on the other side. Because of time, kindly keep it short. We really know that we've established the root problem here. What should be done?
Thank you. I feel like what should be done is that there should be support groups for women who are going through GBV or women who have been abused. Support groups that will help them see it's okay to leave your man if he's abusing you. It's okay to leave your man if he's beating you. The other thing is that there should be law enforcement. Because Josie too, I was going through social media and I saw a clip of a woman who was complaining that alikuwa ameenda kureport gang rape, and she requested to see a female police officer. And then when that female police officer was brought, that woman had the audacity to like ni kama anam traumatized. So did you enjoy it? So how was the gang rape? So as someone said that women were our biggest enemies, I agree. Kama mtu amekuja kwako, you're a female police officer, where do you get the audacity ya kuuliza mtu kama alienjoy a gang rape? That is so wrong. So I feel like there should be law enforcers who are empathetic, law enforcers who will bring this, who will take these things further, and justice should be found to these people who have abused women. So yeah, I feel like support groups and law enforcement.
Right.
Yeah.
Shiksha, I know I'm supposed to throw it to you. I don't know if you can get just a sentence for both of you. Just a sentence on what we need to do. Then we get back very quickly, a sentence, and then we get back to Shiksha.
Okay, I think the legal systems should level up and pull up their socks in dealing with such, because you can't justify crime. Crime is crime.
Right.
And they should also look at the accomplices of these perpetrators. They have their accomplices.
All right.
And they should also be brought to book.
Thank you.
Okay, for me, I could suggest that the government we should address femicide at a younger age.
Okay.
We should maybe they should bring some education curriculum that address femicides or gender equality.
before the children become maybe adolescent or.
Right. Some very pertinent things there. The people messaging us on WhatsApp, that number of them. Then I'll have the councillors say their last thoughts before we take a look at them.
Thank you, Stan. I'd like to get your parting shot. Judith, you've heard what everyone has said. Very quickly, please, could you just tell us, what your thoughts are?
A few things that I think they need to happen is we need to have a paradigm shift. We need to create mentorship for young men, mentorship for purposes of self-awareness, just to be able to restructure how the system works, because it boils down to one thing. These are things that have been instilled in us for so long. You go to weddings and you hear women tell women who are getting married, take care of your husband, your husband is this, is that. Men are not children, number one. We should not be taking care. It is not our responsibility to take care of badly raised men. And the other thing is the legal system, just having structures that are able to actually take measures. Once someone is arrested, let us have them prosecuted so that we see and feel that justice is being served. And another thing is media coverage. Often sensationalizes femicide. We need to articulate these issues in a way that we are addressing what matters, and then also hold our leaders to account in our own small respective ways. When your MP comes, like I heard the other day, the woman rep for Nairobi saying that they've partnered with the governor to set up a safe center for GBV women. My God, you do not even say that in public, because if it's a safe haven, why are we advertising it? Because it needs to be a safe haven for these women to find a shelter and a place to be able to talk to someone. And for women, please, it's okay to walk away. Leave that abusive relationship. The moment a man points at you, the next thing will be a slap, and the next thing you'll find yourself in a coffin. So that is the awareness that we need to create, and let us just learn to embrace each other in our different spheres. Learn to control your emotions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judith. And lastly, Richard, as you wind up, what are your thoughts? You've heard what everyone has said. Is there something you'd like to add on to that?
Follow your gut. Women, follow your gut. I see women when I'm walking out, they put on headphones on their ears. That is to insulate and to protect themselves. There are things that are said to you, and you can't stop them talking, but you can stop yourself listening. So watch over yourself. Men, call the man next door and find out some of the cultural prejudices they host, and be able to hold them into accountability. I think the media is doing a great job. We would not be here if that had not been highlighted and the conversation is not going on. Let's break into conversation. It's in a relationship that we get revelation about things that are going on. Be intentional in connecting and relating with people round about you. You'll be amazed some of the things that are happening in the house next door. Stand up for it. Don't keep quiet about it. Especially protect the woman and the child next door.
All right.
It is our responsibility.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to each and every one of you for this particular morning. I really appreciate your time. This has been quite an interactive session, and I hope to do more of these. Thank you, Stan, as well. All right, coming up next, we'll be having Chef Brian, and this is all